calling down today. We'll begin the presidential election forum now. Candidates, thanks for being here. We're very excited to listen to your platforms as to your plans for running for government, why you're running for government. We have a lot of tough questions assigned, but we'll start with the easy ones, just to get everyone warmed up. Yeah, thanks for running again. I didn't say this. So we'll start with the presidents, and the first question is just explain why you want to be president. Whoever wants to go first can go first.
Okay, so since I have the mic, I'll just start first. So I think I really want to be president, for a couple of reasons. And I think the very primal reason that I want to be president is really because I truly love Yale NUS. So it sounds very difficult to believe, I guess, because it's so cheesy. But I guess it's really what I feel. And I work for the President's Office, for the Development Office as a tour guide. And it's my favorite job, and now I signed up to be a tour guide for Admissions Office as well. Because I really like to boast about the school, because this is a place where I think I've really considered it to be home, and where I really feel this is a place I've grown so much and developed so much. And I think that it's time, and I want to give back. And the second reason is because I believe that I would be an effective president. So I think so I've talked about kids accomplished to death, I think, and that's one of the things that I've done. I was also in the NUS Karate Exco as welfare manager, and I've also done a lot of my own sort of ad hoc campaigns for the school, and a lot of some things outside of school, internships in Jordan and Singapore. And I feel these kind of things have given me the competency and to be an effective leader, given me sort of managerial skills and sort of leadership skills to really rally people together and get people to work towards a common vision. I think not only that, I also have established good relationships with the senior administration. So I've worked closely with the dining hall committees. I also know the President's Office, the people in the President's Office quite well. And so I think that these sort of relationships, because I've cultivated them for 2 years now, and I think it will really serve me very well as President, because then I'll be able to meet these people, establish rapport, cultivate the relationship, and to get whatever decisions made to be passed faster, more effectively and quicker.
Hi, so I'm running for president because I believe, I'm running for president because I believe I would do a good job as a leader in organizing and operationalizing the student government. I have, again, I bring leadership, experience and vision, and those are my taglines. So leadership through the multiple, what I've done for the school since day one, building this college, and I feel it is also my time. I've given back at various levels in this college, and this is my time I will not leave Yale NUS or graduate without serving on student government and serving as its president to make sure that I'm leading it in the right direction. And I believe, so again, organize, operationalize student government, streamline it, make it do what it is supposed to do in our school, build identity, and serve the student body. So that's why I'm running.
Thank you. So the same for the VP. Can you just explain why you've decided to run for Vice President?
Hi, I'm Avery, for those of you who don't know. So I put a lot of thought into running for office and what office to run for. I was considering running for the presidency, but I acknowledge I have a lot to learn. I know both Saza and Subhash have more experience than I do, so I'm very glad they're both candidates. But what I think I can bring to the vice presidency is, even though I have been here only for a year and a half, I have had a lot of experience in student government, serving on the Constitution Committee in my first months when I was a freshman, serving on the Student Life Committee also as a freshman. In addition, working with the Elm College Council. I helped write the Constitution for that, and I've been a member of the Elm College Council for the past 2 years. So you can see that even though I've only been here for about a year and a half, I have really thrown myself into student government and worked against political apathy and kind of a sense of civic duty. So I think I can bring my youth and enthusiasm to the vice presidency. And also something that's very important to me is unity. Unity among classes, unity among Singaporeans and internationals. And I think that's something that I would be able to do as Vice President, help work to resolve conflicts, whether it's between students and administration, students and a conflict with NUS, with identity. So I work forward to working with the student government. I think my efficiency and competency and experience are all traits that will be helpful in a vice president.
Hey, I'm Timel, or Timothy. I'm running for vice president primarily because I believe that I have the skills necessary to streamline the organization of how student government works. Like Splash, I was part of the class of 2017. I've seen how things have grown organically since day one, how things have grown inorganically, what things have worked and what things haven't worked. And I believe that I carry the institutional memory in terms of bringing that to the roles of the vice presidency and assisting the president in helping the first full-term student government move forward. Yeah, I just want to keep it short. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll ask the next question. It's a more broad question. So a lot of you guys have talked about the role of the student government. So let's have each one talk about what you think the role of student government is, and then also what you think its role is compared to a lot of the other student representation committees like the dining hall, the Dean of Faculty Advisory Committee. So what is the role of student government, and then its role compared to other committees? This is a question for all candidates.
I can start. Yeah. Okay, so the role of student government, again, something that's been thought about a lot, and I was helping write the Constitution last year, that was something that came up quite a bit. Exactly how much power can and should the student government have? What should we be doing at Yale NUS? So I think the first and perhaps most obvious role of student government is an advocate for student affairs. And this is different from all of the different advisory bodies, etc., because student government hopefully has a mandate of the entire student body and can help collate and articulate what the student body is thinking in a way that no other student organization really can. Second, a big part of student government responsibilities is organizing student orgs funding, again, in the Constitution. That's probably the most hardcore power that the student government has, which is why it really matters to pay attention to what we're up to. And finally, I think student government should be the centralized link between students and administration and help provide links. All four of us met the other day and we drew out this chart on all of the different administration bodies and the different RCs and student government, and we brainstormed what student government's role was, and in the end, student government was kind of in the center, connecting student life, dean of students, admissions, connections with infrastructure. So I think, in summary, student government is a link between students and administration to voice their opinions, the students' opinions, in a concise and organized fashion.
Thank you.
Yeah, on top of everything Avery just articulated, I feel student government also, this student government should have an active role in integrating all these different elements of our student life. So be it RCACs and the different endeavors that each college does, through different student organizations, creating this one US college identity. Because currently RCs are able to work, again, with that nimbleness, with speed, that as a college we haven't managed to achieve. And that is one of the reasons why I'm serving too, because I believe my experience from Cendana RCAC is going to be very useful in trying to build college spirit, build a common identity and give students a platform that is accountable, platform that they trust. Make student government something that students believe that when they spend time investing in, that they can make change in the school, something that will have buy-in among students. So on top of what Avery said, that's what I have to share.
So to add on to like all of that, I think really like the student government serves as like a center point, like what Avery said. Oh, hello. Okay. Like as a center point for everything in the school. So like everything from the officers to student organizations to the different kind of bodies in schools. Like I think the student government should, in fact, like streamline this process and help to see itself as a like tie in between all of these. Make sure that these parts are like working together well. And then I think as well, it's a bridge between senior administration and the student body. So oftentimes, there's a lot of things which perhaps the senior administration decide that the student body do not necessarily know or is not conveyed in the best way. And I think student government is one of the most important platforms that people can really refer to when they want to know what sort of policies are being done, how is it being shaped, what kind of things is coming up for Yale US as a college. And I think it's also like a place where people can convey their opinions for whatever issues, clarifications they might need, or there's some things that they might require some form of action on. And I think it's really a way for the student body to voice out these things and to hopefully get them answered, to get them justified, clarified, and talked about. And I think most importantly, the student body should be something which sets a vision for the student body and for the college. So hopefully we've been given the mandate by the student body to really shape how the Yale and US experience will be like. And so hopefully that is through setting up of a very clear vision and mission, and that this is something that will translate to the rest of the student population as well.
I think an anecdote that I guess is sometimes lost on students who come in the late years when we didn't have student government was that whenever you approach the US with an issue, you never knew whether you were the only one with the issue, or whether it was like whether 10 other people had the issue, or whether 100 people had the issue. And I think it's lost on students that really the only way we had was to literally have a poll on Facebook. So I think it's fantastic that now with student government we can fulfill that role of being an aggregator. So that's the first thing I see what a student government should do, which is the aggregator of student opinion, to collate it, to pass it through, and to sort of see really what really is the underlying problems, underlying student issues. The second role I see is really a signpost to resources. So I get that student organizations in Yale and US are a lot of them are very well connected. The people who found them have very good relations with the various necessary persons in various offices across the college. And I don't want student government to interfere with that. In fact, the less you need student government, the better. You have the direct link, you can do things faster. But really, what student government steps in, where it steps in is where you have that gap in reaching out to certain various departments, or whether some student organizations, I guess, due to the lack of duration of how long it's been around, it doesn't have the same sort of relationship with other departments, and that's where student government might come in to be sort of the signpost to these resources. And I think, thirdly, to answer the question about how it works in relation to the other committees, I think here student government plays a role in assisting, but not to take over the roles of these other committees, because I feel that the people who choose to volunteer in these committees are really passionate about what these committees are dealing with, and I don't think student government should take, and I think that if we took over it, we wouldn't be able to bring the same kind of passion as these students on these committees, and I think we should assist them when necessary, but if they don't need our help, then we're just there to support them any other way that they need our help. Yeah.
Sure. Can I just ask one question? So you guys had a meeting where you did the chart drawing. Was that in your first one, or did you guys meet separately?
Yeah, so we met separately because although we are running for, we're not running against each other at the end of the day. I mean, we are running for same positions, but we're all part of the same student government. So we met for dinner last night, and we drew up kind of the, hello? Okay, can I speak? Okay.
Just
so
loudly.
We drew up the different kind of departments that we're working with in school, and just making sure that we have all the bases covered, understanding exactly when we say we're working with the student body and the administration, what that means. What does the administration mean, and what kind of liaisons do we already have, what connections do we already have, what we might need to build on, and what we need to clarify at the handover meeting, which is happening on Friday.
Yeah. It was kind of an informal brainstorming session, just.
Sure. So can I just ask this of the presidents then? So you've now had your first meeting, you've met as a small group with all the candidates. What do you see as this student government, a larger one than we've had before, really needing in terms of leadership? And what do you think you can provide in terms of that?
So again, in terms of leadership, I feel we need a leader and we need a president who has the experience. And when I say experience, I mean everyone has their different strands of experience that they bring to the table. But I feel in this position, the unique experience of being a part of the inaugural class that I have as the class of 2017. The experience in working with multiple student organizations, working with administration and staff, different people who have come in and left the school. I feel like we are the people, even Dean's Fellows and faculty and staff, we have been here for a very long time, longer than a lot of people as the class of 2017. We've been through the chapters of change. And being able to understand the different tensions that have arisen through this process and being able to translate that into conflict resolution, and add that perspective into the discussions that happen in student government and that go into the decision-making process, that's invaluable. So that on top, and so we have that is critical of the president of student government, and yeah.
Thank you. So I think the president of the student government this year, it will be the first one with a full term. And I think that we really thank the work of the previous governments, but I think those were more focused on like management, still building up the hierarchies, the structure, how do things really work. But I think something different that the student government has for this year really is, what I've said already actually, is vision. And so I think this is the first, with a full year. So that full year, there's like so much that can really happen, that can really be done. So I think this setting out a clear vision, just being able to know like where you want to end up after this year, what are some of the changes you want to make, what are the policy changes, what are the policy modifications, how do you see the student body growing and developing. Like I think this is really what the president should have, should be someone who's able to look far and look ahead and see how Yale University should be after a year of the person's leadership. Yeah.
Can I also add really quickly? Thanks. So also this year's government is unique because of the large number of first years in government. And I think the leader needs to be able to understand how to manage maybe a lot of enthusiasm or expectations around like what the government can do. So adding some realism and realistic goal setting to the idealism that might come out of government. So we don't have to waste time, as we can hit the ground running, understand exactly what we can do as a government and go about trying to channel that enthusiasm into getting things done that actually can be done in college.
Yeah, so this question is also for the president. So, as you were saying just now, it's really important to have realistic goal setting. So I just want to figure out is your finger on the pulse of what student issues are. So, given the amount of feedback that the student government receives, you'll inevitably have to prioritize what feedback to work on, right? So, can you name 3 pressing issues that you think students really care about, and how just briefly, don't say too long, how you think your government will go about working on those 3 issues?
3 issues. Here's a moment.
Right.
So I think, So I think the 3 main issues that the government can work on is really, firstly, it's the communication between the senior administration and the student body. Secondly, the whole culture of Yale US, whatever like culture might mean in scare quotes. And thirdly, really the relationship with our parent universities. So I think on the first point, the communication between the senior administration and the student body, I think there's been a lack of communication, a lack of transparency, and so this has led to a lot of discord amongst the student body with certain policies that are rolled out by senior administration. And so how I see myself and the government really working on this issue is to have a constant sort of feedback channel with the senior administration and the student body. So with the senior administration, as president, I would have weekly meetings with key members of the senior administration to really just make sure that we are on the same page and that we do hope to work closely with them in order to find out exactly what policies are planning on being rolled out, what things can be shared with the student body on an effective platform. So that's for the first one. For the second one, it's really building up like this culture of Yale and US. So I think at Yale and US, we have a lot of pagro and agro culture, you know? Like on Facebook, a lot of people are always talking about things which offend others, which people take to heart, where there's a lot of conflict. And I think these things really need not happen. And perhaps Facebook is not the best platform for these discussions. So I do agree that in a university and at Yale and US, these conflicts, these discussions are inevitable, but they can be done in a much better way, in a much better format. And so I really believe in building a culture of care at Yale and US, and to have people who would really consider others' feelings before the person as a person, before they really say things that they mean or don't. And so I think it's really important to build this culture where people really really care about one another at Yale and US. And the third one is our relationship with NUS and parent universities and Yale. So I think the most pressing one is with NUS and the library issue. It keeps on resurfacing again and again. And so I really think that the best way to deal with these issues with NUS is that firstly, we have to realize that it is a structural problem. Before Yale and US came, USP faced the same sort of discord, and people didn't like them either because people thought they were elitist, and the NUS general community thought the same way. And so when Yale and US came, perhaps Yale and US took away some of the shade from USP and brought it upon ourselves. So I think this is something that we have to realize. It will pop up every 2 months, every 3 months. It will come out a couple of times in a semester. But how we choose to react to it, I feel that is more important. And we don't have to be so aggressive about it each time it does come out. And I think I've noticed a pattern. Actually, my sweet mate brought this up. And she said that it seems to happen at the end of every semester or at every mid-semester, where all the exams are coming out, where all the papers are due. So it seems like this might be a mental health issue as well to deal with, the issue of stress. And so I think one way is to really just be sure of our relationship with NUS and to work on it, but to realize as well that this is something that we can try our best to work on, but that these problems will always surface, and how we react to it is equally important. Yeah.
So similar to Zaza, NUS relations made my list too. So it's NUS relations, it's a communication, and it's a building a college identity. And so I'll just riff off of Zaza's points. NUS relations, again, library is just one of the many interactions in which we have come to conflict with NUS students, staff, faculty, and I feel it's really about understanding that relationship, kind of understanding exactly, and this links to my second point of communication also. It's about how we go about communicating information to our neighbors at NUS, the language we use, and how people can come together and understand that, actually understanding what their identity means. Where do we stand in relation to NUS? Because this has come up in athletics too in our school, and how we are now able to play under our own banner, we have to play under NUS, and whenever a new batch comes in, it feels like these same conversations are starting. And we keep having these same negotiations about space and about our identity. So instead, I think what student government can do is student government can really come together to understand exactly what their role is, and that can be communicated better with the student body. So on the note of communication, I guess communication with administration is something a student government can step in to help, especially with student organizations. I recently heard about a student organization that unfortunately lost an opportunity because of some a break of chain of command and communication, and I feel that that's something that student government could really have stepped in and helped. It made me really sad that there was a great opportunity I felt for the student group that didn't materialize. So that's one thing I feel student government has to avail its resources to those student organizations who need that. So that's communication, and communication, of course, with administration. As Saza said, that's something that through the relationships that I have as president, I hope to be able to make it a really efficient process, a really clear process of letting administration know what we need and how we can go about achieving it. And okay, I'll keep it short. Regina's already looking at the clock. And lastly, college identity, of course. Giving better support to the bookstore. I think spirit and merchandise is very important. If the bookstore needs that support, seeing what we can do for them, seeing student organizations, how we can allocate resources to them, and getting RCs to work together to build that college identity. So again, NUS relations, communication, and college identity. But of course, in a semester, things come up and we might have to reprioritize.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you. So this is a question for the vice presidential candidates. What would you do should you fundamentally and completely disagree with your president on a point?
Good question. Let's go easier.
Quickly, please.
All right, should I fundamentally and absolutely disagree with the president? Well, I think we have to remember that although the role of president is very important, they are not the only member of student government. So I think the context would matter what did the rest of the student council think? Did they all fundamentally disagree with the president? Because if that's the case, then the student council, while led by the president, does have the ability to make a divergent decision. The president does have veto power, but that can be overridden in case of overwhelming opposition. If instead it was the president and a significant number of the council members with whom I disagreed, I would present my best arguments. I would fight as hard as I could for whatever action I deem necessary. But I think the role of the vice president is to provide advice to the president and leadership, but ultimately should assist the president in whatever he or she decides to do and assist the council. So, yeah.
I think at the end of the day, the vice president does answer to the student body, but it does so via the president. And even if I always have fundamental disagreements with the president, it is the role of the vice president to suck it up and work with the president. And it is not the vice president's job to sort of create drama, but to rather to smoothen things out in terms of how the president executes his duties. And I believe that these fundamental differences are, like, professionally speaking, you have to overlook these fundamental differences no matter what. And just to reinforce a point that Avery made, which is the council is not made of just the president and the vice president. There are also other members who also hold various portfolios, and these disagreements will definitely not just exist between the president and the vice president, and can probably also be explained out or worked out with the help of the other council members. Yeah.
Sure, thank you. So, this is a quick one. What role would you go for if you don't get your position? Come on, quickly.
If I don't get the role of vice president, I'm looking forward to the directorship of academic affairs or student organizations.
I think for me it will be events, because I would still want to create that sort of culture at YNC.
Similar to Zaza, also events, because I've experience in doing that, I think I can do a damn good job.
Student life. Because serving on the Student Life Committee last year, there are so many issues. It encompasses so much, and I think that that's a place where someone can really make an impact in addressing student concerns and resolving disputes.
Okay. This is a question for all candidates. What are 2 achievements from the past 2 student governments that you remember and are most proud of? Okay, fine. Maybe you can answer one. I'll let everyone know that I asked for 2.
So I think the best achievement, I would say, like one of the most significant ones is gender neutral housing from the very first government. So I think that was something which was supported by, they did a survey, they did a lot of surveys actually to gather feedback from the student body to really ask if this was something that the student body would like to get onto. And I think they really pushed very hard for it, and we managed to get it done really quickly, and I think in a very efficient and effective manner. I think it was said that